Though they're disapproving.
Rawhide.
Keep them doggies moving, rawhide. That's when men were men. Don't try and understand them, just rope and throw and brand them.
I prefer the Blues Brothers live version myself.
That's right. That's the only version I actually know. I never saw the show. So
Blues Brothers?
Yeah, Blues Brothers did Rawhide, and Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, no, you never saw Rawhide, you mean?
Yeah. They steal another band's gig at this
I
bar
remember
that
the
they
movie.
know nothing about. And the lady there, the hostess, says, "Oh, we play both kinds, country and Western."
It's like, he goes, what kind of music are y'all accustomed to hearing around here? Oh, we like both kinds. Country and Western. Western.
Country and Western.
Western.
That's a great flick.
Well, that's
They
my
demolished more
grandfather.
cars in that than any other movie previously, and I bet that record still stands.
I bet. And half of those were ruined inside of a shopping mall, which is awesome. Not in the parking garage in the shopping mall. In the shopping mall. That's right.
Yeah.
Although,
that's good stuff.
Sadly, there are many shopping malls around today where you could drive a car through. In fact, you could conduct a high-speed chase pursued by a dozen ossifers and not break anything or injure anybody.
Yeah.
So, anyway, why were we here? Oh, by the way, my grandfather, I found out in later years, actually was in a band when he was like a teenager or in his early 20s. It must have been teenager because he went to war, so he wouldn't have done that after he got back from the war. Anyway.
Could have been a band of brothers.
He said they... Yes, they could have. He said they did what was then known as cowboy and hillbilly music. It wasn't country western. It was cowboy and hillbilly in Philadelphia. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what we have here is a failure to communicate. What we have here is the Backstage episode of Right Angle. And I'll be very honest with you. We would have gotten here sooner, but Steve had all kinds of technical problems that...
I walked Scott through his tech issues. Don't let him give you that.
It took 45 minutes.
And my favorite thing about the way Steve handled that technical issue is that he spoke the King's English all the way through. And so he was really easy to understand. And are you one of those people? Because I know there are some people who just get frustrated with having a call center in India, and they get angry at that. I am, of course, just kind of apologetic that I can't understand what this person who's making a good faith effort to speak English is saying. So I'm like, I'm just so sorry. I don't understand anything you've said for the last 7 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I feel sorry for him, but at the same time, I want to shoot the American company that sent it over there. I once had somebody say, "Can I have your name, please?" I said, "Sure. It's Bill." He said, "Could you spell that?" I said, "Yes. It's B-I-L-L. What's your name?" "My name is Scooter," or whatever, or Buster, or Bob, or something.
They used to go like, "My name is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, but you may call me Bob."
But now they just say, "My name is John." Okay, John.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, Chad, Trevor. I'm not buying it. But anyway, so Steve did a great job of talking me through this. And as I say this, I realize that our editor, Mark, is watching this footage and going, "What happened to Scott's picture?"
Is it better?
So I think it is. I think it is better.
Good.
And the problem was I did things. And I should have learned a long time ago, don't do anything.
See, there's your mistake right there.
That's right. Once you get your life to sort of a mediocre plateau, leave well enough alone.
And just coast the rest of the way. Yeah, right. I'm with you, man.
If you try to make it better, it's unlikely to get better, but there are 1,000 things that can go. It's like the terrorists.
Yeah, you can.
They only have
make
to
it
be
worse.
right once.
"How's your life going there, Mr. Johnson?" "It's taken for goddamn ever." It's a line from some movie that I've forgotten. I want to say it was True Romance. I'm not sure about that.
Do we have a 7-second delay on this show? Do we have that?
No.
No.
Oh, respect the 7-second delay, my friends.
Thank you. I just, on behalf of my colleagues, I apologize in advance for anything that any of us may say during the next 75 minutes. So Bill, I believe, has stumbled onto a goldmine of human opportunity by getting the opportunity. Did I say the word opportunity twice in the same sentence? By having the option, by availing himself of the moment to carpe diem and do 2 episodes this week of Right Angle. And so, by the way, he's Bill Whittle. The other guy is Stephen Green, and I'm Scott Ott. And if you're watching us for the first time, how many times can a man apologize?
You have our pity.
Everybody remembers their first time, no matter how much they try to forget.
Let me just say it this way. For the members who do faithfully watch this Backstage episode, I feel like there's no number of nights sleeping on the couch that would ever atone for what we've done to you. And so we'll just stay on the couch. Go ahead, Bill. What's up?
Take the word rodeo and the word goat and put them together in a certain sequence. Still one of my all-time favorite expressions, goat rodeo. Yeah. And it's one you can actually use instead of the alternative. Anyway.
That's true. Like a cluster goat.
I have members and I have the regular one. Here's the members. You may well remember Mark and Patricia McCluskey. Those are the Democratic, lifetime Democrat, Black Lives Matter supporters who, rightfully enough, felt intimidated by an entire protest breaking into their gated community and starting to make threatening sounds. They walked out of their house armed with an AR-15 and a pistol and basically said, this is not the kind of house you want to attack. Then the actual attack began. They were absolutely savaged in the media. They were absolutely destroyed on social media. They were actually pressed charges of illegal use of a firearm, all this stuff. Well, they're going to be speaking at the Republican National Convention. And Scott and I just did a Bill Whittle Now talking about how we always manage, both conventions find a way to manage to get somebody from the other side to come over and be like the voice of reason and sanity, and that kind of thing. But the reason I'm interested in this couple is not so much that they're speaking at the convention, but I do want to continue with this ongoing election year issue of how many people do they represent? How many people have been forced out of the Democratic Party? And these are Black Lives Matter's apparently active supporters, donors, yes, large donors to the DNC. How many people have been forced out of the Democratic Party because of the left's inability to not eat their own? And it gives me another chance to make another point, by the way. The reason that this couple was savaged so brutally was not because so much they were threatening Black Lives Matter supporters. That's what they were told. That's what we were told the reason they were given hell for. The real reason they were destroyed or tried to be destroyed is because coming out on the porch with guns actually worked. That's the reason that they're being destroyed. They came out and defended their house with firearms. They secured their property with firearms, and it worked. And that's what has to be destroyed. So that's my membership. Nice. My main show is this catastrophe. We keep, I personally keep praying for the sweet meteor of death. That's why I always go last when we record. You never know. Asteroid hit the Earth, and then I wouldn't have to, record my segment. But there is, in fact, a catastrophe of biblical proportions. I'm not making this up either. Biblical proportions coming to California. It's not an asteroid. It's not wildfires. It's not an earthquake. It is, if I read this article correctly, in 2 days, Lyft and Uber will not be able to function legally in the state of California. And that will be the end of the state of California, at least the end of Los Angeles.
Appeals?
Apparently, yes.
Yeah.
If Uber and Lyft stop, I'm just telling you right now, in Los Angeles, if Uber and Lyft stop functioning, this town's going to come to a halt. And once again, if there were any Republicans, if there were any California Republicans, we would turn this into a way to flip the entire state red. But honestly, I thought that the plastic bag ban was intrusive and ridiculous and stuff, but the people that are going to get hit most by this are going to be young liberals. And I don't think, you have to be following the news to really know about AB5 and so on. You got to kind of be up on it. in 2 days, as we record this, they're going to open up their apps and they're going to not have, there's going to be no way for huge numbers of people to get from one place to another. They're not going to be able to move. And
so there's no like yellow cab resurgence in the offing?
Well, there will be a very brief yellow cab resurgence. They won't be able to handle the load.
No, and the number of medallions are limited. It's a cartel.
It'll also remind people why Uber and Lyft were so successful in the first place, because nobody wants to take a cab. But with that said, they say, well, don't worry, that's on the ballot for November to rescind this. I said, I don't see any way that this is going to last until November. I cannot imagine it. I really don't. I may be overstating the case, but I don't think I am. I think this is the most shocking thing that's going to happen to LA in this shocking year.
Do they still have time to get something on the ballot about this?
AB 5 was the law that passed by all the liberals who are trying to virtue signal about how, there are people being taken advantage of, like you two, for example, who are independent contractors and being exploited by me, the rich capitalist who goes home and bathes in the gold coins at night. And it's not fair that you're not full employees. And if you lived in California, you would both have to be. Yeah. And I'd have to pay health insurance for you and all the rest of the stuff, payroll deductions, all of that. And so California passed a bill, was basically shepherded through by the woman who told Elon Musk he could go F himself. And so freelancers no longer exist. And if you play, as I've said before, if you play the bass down at Joe's Tavern on Thursday night, now you have to be an employee of Joe's Tavern. And Joe has to pay you out of and he has to pay payroll deductions, and he has to pay for your health care and all that other stuff. So this is, once again, an insane law brought about by California progressives, but this one's going to hurt them in a way that they don't fully realize.
Well, I'm saying they don't have time now to get this on a ballot, because ballots are going to be mailed out. They don't have time to get this on a ballot to repeal it.
They said it's going to be on the November ballot, but if you think
they're going to vote to do this, not to repeal it?
No. They are going to vote to. There is an opportunity to repeal it in November on the ballot. But if you think that this city can function through September and October without Lyft or Uber, it just will not. People are going to freak. They're going to freak when they wake up and find out that, because most people don't even know it's coming. I didn't know it was coming. I knew about AB 5. But they're just going to wake up in 2 days and they're going to open their Uber apps and they're going to be late for work, or they're going to the airport. They're going to say, sir, our service not available. And it's going to be an explosion, I'm telling you. There's going to be emergency measures taken.
Bill, I just looked this up because I hadn't heard that AB 5 repeal was on. It was a ballot initiative.
It's not even a repeal. It's a carve out.
Yeah, it's a carve out exactly for Uber and Lyft drivers. So AB 5 stands, and what it looks like to me this is turning into is you put a horrible law on the books, and then you basically use it as an opportunity for graft and grift, where people have to come to you, the politician, to get their carve out, and of course, generous donations will help in that decision-making process.
Undoubtedly. The swine.
Yeah, you're ruled by absolute pigs.
So who's the driving, forgive the expression, the driving force behind
Lorena
trying to
Gonzalez,
So
Assemblywoman from San Diego, Democrat.
But the motivation
driven by who?
But what's pushing it?
Yeah.
Follow the money.
AFL-CIO wrote the bill for her.
Follow the money. Uber and Lyft are non-union organizations, right? They generate an awful lot of revenue. There are unions like cab drivers and all the rest that want them banished. But the real thing, I think the real answer to this is the reason they want to get rid of this as independent contractors is because independent contractors don't have payroll withholding. They're a segment of the population that has to write a check to Uncle Sam instead of be grateful that Uncle Sam gives them back a couple $100 every April 15th from the money that they've taken that they never got to touch. That's why I think they have to destroy Uber and Lyft. They don't want people writing checks to the government of California in terms of here's the money that is in your bank account that you have to part with now in order to pay for this ridiculous state government. That's why I think they're doing it. But in any event, it's a catastrophe, and I say good. We depend pretty heavily on Uber, to be honest with you. And
by we you mean you personally?
I mean Natasha and I, yeah.
Yes.
And it's going to be extremely disruptive for us, but it's going to be catastrophic. But most of the millennials in this town, or many of them anyway, can't drive. It's not that they don't have cars; they just don't know how to drive. What the hell are they going to do?
When you
They
go
grew
out
up on Uber.
You and Natasha go out on in an Uber. Do you have the Uber driver actually tow the Camaro behind, or how does that work?
No, I push it with the horn blaring the whole way. And he sits on the brakes so that smoke can come out of the wheels. No, but Natasha takes Uber everywhere. And we take Uber when we go out to a restaurant or something so we can have a couple drinks. Don't worry about that. I'm serious. I saw this and my jaw hit the ground. I heard about the AB5 fight, but the idea that Uber and Lyft are going to shut down in 2 days is inconceivable to me.
My friend Kira Davis is a blogger over at Red State. She's got a great podcast going that's huge ratings and all the rest. When AB5 hit at the first of the year, it cut her income in half. Because she was limited on the number of articles she could write. Right. She was limited in all the different things that she did. And good luck. There are a lot of conservative writers in California. This is how they make their living. Good luck getting that carve out.
But the people who are getting killed by this are like musicians, artists, graphic designers. All of them are liberals, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, if you're in the creative arts in California,
so you're going after liberals, young people, and drunks all at the same time. This is a recipe for political disaster.
Hey,
well, we do. Fair enough. We do have our share of the drunk market.
Can I tell you something really fun?
Sure.
Earlier this year, the exact language of AB5 was literally copied and pasted into a piece of legislation that's been sitting in the House since last year, labor reform bill that's not going to go anywhere with the Republicans holding the Senate and Trump holding the House, or Trump holding the White House. But if the Democrats take the Senate and the White House, that national version of AB5 is going to become law so fast it'll actually break your neck.
I have to tell you, when I hear things like this, I say, good. That's what I want. If Trump loses and we lose the Senate, then that's what I want. I want him to do it fast. I want people to wake up the next day and find out that they can't get to the airport like they thought they would because these Democrats have eliminated Uber. And I want them to wake up and find $8 a gallon gas because of the Green New Deal. And I want all of it to happen. I want it to happen quickly. Which is why I think we're going to win big.
There's another demographic that I think we haven't really paid attention to, because one of the great things about Uber or Lyft or any of these services to me is that if my car breaks down, I don't have to have a friend. And that's good.
It's convenient for you, especially, yes.
That's right. Because, like, you know, in the old days, it was like, oh, who do I know who, like, I would feel comfortable calling and saying, can you come get me? But now I make 2 phone calls. First to Progressive and say, come get the car. Progressive is the insurance company. Yeah, don't get on me about
Scotty.
the name. And then number 2 is to, on the app to the driving service and say, come get me here. And I tell the tow truck driver I'll leave the keys under the mat and hope somebody steals it. But you don't have to have a friend. Uber is like a friend.
It's very convenient, and I'm literally gobsmacked by this. I'm really quite shocked, and I genuinely think there's going to be such blowback that they're going to pass emergency legislation on this. I genuinely think that. I just cannot imagine this town without Uber or Lyft for 2 months.
Okay,
Uber. The first time I rode an Uber was for Kurt Schlichter's 50th birthday party back in, this has got to be 5 or 6 years ago now. 1964, yeah. And
no, he's a great guy. I love Kurt.
I land at LAX. I call for, I get on the shuttle to the hotel, because back then Uber wasn't even allowed to pick up and drop off at the airport.
So everybody took hotel shuttles and got picked up at the hotel by Uber.
Yeah, I get to my actual hotel. I unpack. I sit at the bar. I have a cocktail because I got to get warmed up for this damn party. And I call my first Uber, and this lovely French woman who's probably about my age picks me up, and she's having we start up a conversation right away. And the first thing she asked me is, "Where are you staying?" You just pick me up at my hotel. This is when she explained to me
not the most attentive.
People would just take at the airport would just take the very first shuttle to whatever hotel,
absolutely,
and then call Uber. And so it didn't even occur to her that she'd be picking somebody up close to the airport that was the place where they were actually staying.
First time for everything. This is California. And that was a result of the taxis, the cab unions, fighting to because it's like, okay.
Isn't that great how people like immediately, the new service comes about because of a particular need that the inventor of the service perceives. But then immediately people go, hey, let's see if I can call a car anytime I want. Tell you what, I'll just take the first jitney to the first hotel. I don't even care where it is. But
that's not the user's fault, and that's not Uber's fault. That's the government saying that Uber's not allowed to pick people up at the airport.
Yeah. No, I think it's awesome. I was saying it's in praise of American ingenuity.
Oh, yes, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
We're the best.
Anyway, that's it for me.
Okay.
Cool.
Do we have a cough button here? I'm about to cough. Stephen Green. What would you like? By the way, for those of you playing the home game, I think I actually found a topic. So by the time it comes around to my turn, I may have something.
Well, I'm going to make this really fast and put the pressure on you. Is that all right?
No, go ahead. I just don't take my only topic.
I want to talk about, Bill mentioned a goat rodeo. I watched one last night. I'm going to have to watch it again tonight. And I'm going to have to watch it again on Wednesday and Thursday night. And it's the Democratic National Virtual Convention.
I have to tell you right now, you sent a tweet saying, guys, watch as much of this as you can. And I watched it and I thought, oh my God, Trump and the Republicans are going to save so much money by not having to do any campaign ads whatsoever. They'll just simply run this.
Yep.
When there's so much wrong with that video, and if you're watching this, you'll get to see it when you see the actual show. There's so much wrong with this video, but of all the things that just immediately kicked me in the guts, like from the first frame is, I don't want to see the American flag red, black, and yellow or whatever.
Green,
it's offensive.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
It's offensive.
I did not see this. What are you talking about?
Oh, Scotty, Scotty,
they
my
changed
boy.
the American flag colors to the African colors of red, black, and green.
And then some guy in like a white flowing chiffon gown comes out and then unfurls his black cape. I'm not making this up, and starts singing. What's that song? Something Happening Here.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was like a long black jacket with split tails.
And so
that was Billy
basically
Porter
he's
singing with
this
Stephen
song.
Stills.
Was it Stephen Stills?
Stephen Stills was playing guitar.
Well, I believe
I thought
that
it
was
was
the
Stephen Stills'
reanimated corpse
granddad.
of Stephen Stills.
And it was spooky. Like they could have gotten somebody like John Legend could have pulled that off without seeming so weird. But Billy Porter kind of has that like somebody just shined a flashlight into the back of the car when he was parked out by the lake, look in his eyes.
And then he does this kind of stop, and then they put like stop in the background. It's like, oh my God in heaven, it's a guaranteed win. We just might as well just start popping the shrimp cakes. Don't get cocky. Don't get cocky.
But you can't. And problem number one with that is you're never going to top the Muppets version of that song. So it's a classic.
I have a question that won't be on the segment, I don't think. Maybe I'll bring it back. I'm not sure. The DNC let it be known last night that even though things like Michelle Obama's big thing last night that went on forever. I mean, I swear to God, she thinks she's Fidel Castro.
She's working on it.
Michelle Obama didn't mention Kamala Harris because she pre-taped this thing so long ago. Yeah. Harris hadn't even been named VP.
The president mentioned that when they asked him about it.
Who did?
The president. At a news conference, they said, well, what do you think of what Michelle Obama said last night? And she said that you're not up to the job or whatever. And he immediately interrupts the questioner and said, she's not up to the job. And then he said that you could tell that she had pre-taped the thing so long ago that her numbers on COVID deaths were off and that she didn't even know who the vice presidential the running mate pick was. And then he ended up by saying, hey, if it wasn't for her and her husband, I wouldn't even be here.
Awesome.
Wow,
that's
why
he's
beautiful.
president.
You know what, Scott? I'm going to ask you about that because that's just great stuff that I
was the
completely
best
missed
part.
when I was setting this up.
I thought that was the best part. you know.
Now,
You're right.
they let it be known, the DNC did, maybe in response to that Biden will be going on live. I think it's Thursday night is the last night of the
I think that
convention.
not only should he, if he goes on live, I think he needs to hold up a copy of today's New York Times, and so that
Yeah, we need some proof of life, Joe.
put Biden on. I got to know he's okay. Put him on.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, Scott, you have helped me tremendously
First
here because
COVID case discovered in the United States. You know, it's like that's what's going to.
I was a little directionless on where I wanted to go with some of this, and so now I've got you covered. Now I got to figure out what I'm going to do with Bill while we're in between.
Oh, Bill will just tell me what I think of the video. I'll give you 20 minutes of gold.
Now,
baby.
keep in mind, the
All right,
only thing
I was gonna close with the video. I'm gonna give you the video instead because I've already
No,
got.
you need to open with the video. You can't possibly talk about this until you show it at the beginning. Seriously, Steve, it is. We often do things on clips, and I usually get to look at them, but this one blew my mind.
Okay,
it was
then
so
I will
unbearably awful.
I'll do a very brief intro, run the clip,
Yes.
go to you, then to Scott, and then I've got this Andrew Cuomo rant that's been bubbling up in anger and hatred for weeks, and it finally let loose last night when that he's a cold stone killer with absolutely no compunction about lying about it. I don't know if you saw him last night, but he said, and I think this is a quote. Yeah, here's the exact quote. Talking about the COVID-19 response, he said, "Our way worked in New York."
Yeah.
If your goal is to kill people, then you can certainly say that's
by the way,
absolutely true.
Oh,
Despite
I'm livid just thinking about it again.
Despite what Steve just said, I don't want you to think that Governor Cuomo has killed anybody with ice cream. There's no such thing as a cold stone killer.
Ah,
I got snacks on the brain. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten a real meal today.
I'm hungry
Here
too.
we
I'm
are,
very hungry.
Almost 1
Why
o'clock.
doesn't can somebody out there send us some pizzas?
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah.
So,
Because we're going to be here for a while.
yeah, like through Uber
pepperoni,
Eats.
cheese. I want some red pepper flakes on there. Little parm.
Does that mean no more Uber Eats either?
No more
Now,
Uber
that's a good
Eats.
question. Really, that's gone too.
Oh yeah.
Oh
those
Lord,
same
and that means
people,
Postmates
right?
as well. All of it, right? Gone.
Restaurants that are hanging on by a slender thread.
Are done.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But they're saving jobs.
Okay, so
say
here's
a
the
very
thing.
You sure about
word.
that? You sure about Uber Eats and food delivery?
Yes.
Well, I would assume,
Grubhub,
aren't they
Uber
on the
Eats.
same basis? They're
Well,
not,
I don't see any reason why they wouldn't
they're
be.
not
Obviously, they're
employees
the
of
same.
Uber, are they? Unless they're full time.
No, it seems like
it's not the company. It's the nature of the work, and that is
That's right.
That is
Yeah.
gig driving work. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you're picking up a person or a pizza.
And what I
If
don't
you don't
get-
actually, if you're
like-
not a paid driver for Papa John's, you're not getting a pizza from there. And the restaurant that can't open its doors or can only operate at a quarter capacity or whatever, that's been counting on takeout
Delivery.
and deliveries, they just had deliveries pulled right out from under them starting on what, Thursday?
Oh my God! I thought about that, but it just seemed inconceivable to me.
My guess would be that there's a fraction, a relatively small fraction of Uber drivers who really want to work for the company full time. I mean, one of the appeals to Uber as a person who has another full time job is that I can do it when I want to, if I want to. I'm not an Uber driver, but I could do it if I wanted to, when I wanted to, set my own schedule, decide how much money I want to make, go back home anytime I want to.
Right.
And I think that they're really shooting themselves in the foot because a lot of the people who are doing that, they're not interested in becoming full-time taxi drivers.
No, it's insane.
No.
It's insane,
and the
and
other
this is going to blow back on them
And work
more than
for some
anything
big
I've ever
corporation.
imagined.
The whole model requires contract workers for the simple reason that Uber and Lyft work on a surge model where there's hardly anybody driving when there's hardly anybody going anywhere. And then
They bring their own cars.
yeah, and then
It's not like they're driving Uber cars.
yeah.
Wow. And by the way, this is going to go a long way to spreading this COVID-19 thing too, by the way. You know? It's like people were able to stay indoors and have food delivered to them,
Yeah.
but not anymore.
Okay, so here's what I'd like to do. And I really didn't want to do this topic until I heard this latest news. So the general topic is, I guess I picked a bad week to reform the post office. So-
I'm going to start sniffing glue.
all of a sudden, the attempt by President Trump's appointee, who, by the way, every time he's mentioned, and his last name is like DeJoy or something like that, I don't even care. But every time his name is mentioned in the news, and I listen to back-to-back newscasts from CNN, Fox News, NPR, Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal. Every time they mention this guy's name, they mention that he was a Trump donor. Like he's just some political appointee hack who happens to be the postmaster general now.
Didn't he run UPS or FedEx or something?
Oh, yeah,
prior?
no, he's a Trump donor. I think you did. Didn't you hear what I said? He's a Trump donor. So what else do we need to know about it? How deep does that resume go beyond what his Federal Election Commission report shows? Anyway, so this is a big quandary now because people are convinced, thanks to the union of postal carriers, that this Postmaster General is trying to destroy the Postal Service, not just to take money out of the mouths of the families of the postal workers, but also to destroy it at a time when mail-in ballots are going to be crucial to the people's voice being accurately expressed in November. And so, the mailing service can't guarantee that they're going to deliver all these mail-in ballots on time. Anyway, I bet
they can guarantee that they'll deliver certain ones of them on time, though.
That's right. So I was not interested in this at all until I found out that John Ratzenberger, formerly known as
Cliff Clavin.
Cliff Clavin from Cheers, actually did a little like a PSA. And I can't do a Cliff Clavin impression, but let me just read you a couple of lines from the public service announcement video he did. The post office is in a little bit of a pickle right now. It is certainly in the news, being bounced back and forth, so I had an idea. Why not do all your Christmas shopping early at the post office store?
He's a conservative, old John. He's a stout conservative.
He goes on and says, why not translate the dollar amount that you're going to pay for Aunt Tilly's new hat and just buy her that amount of stamps? Easy to carry, easy to mail, easy to ship, and it's worth something. And it'll be worth something for a long time. And then he says, how many times is Aunt Tilly really going to use that hat? But how many times will she be using those stamps? So I just thought, finally, some Republican administration seems to be trying to do something to reform the Postal Service, to make it a viable entity. And President Trump said he's not trying to destroy the Postal Service. He wants to make the Postal Service great again. He's saying his Postmaster General appointee is trying to do that. So at that time, and of course, any effort to fix something that has obviously been broken for decades is seen as only addressing a momentary desire to shut off the mail-in ballot flow.
This won't make it to the segment, but it's interesting, and I hadn't thought about this in years. I've got a children's geography primer. I collect old atlases and maps, and I have this children's geography primer from, I think, the 1880s. It's mostly falling apart. I keep it wrapped in plastic, and every several or many years I'll take it out and look at it. But one of the things that's in there is a map of the U.S. showing postal zones and how many cents it's going to cost you to mail from this zone in this part of the country all the way over to this zone in that part of the country.
So it was metered, basically.
Pardon?
It was metered.
Exactly. This idea that the same penny would get your letter across town or across the country was just not done.
That's bloody communism.
You paid for what you were asking them to do. Yeah. And I'm telling you, one of the big reasons the post office is in such trouble, well, there are several, but one of them is this idea that the same damn stamp is good for across town or from Miami to Anchorage. And that's ridiculous.
Does it cost different amounts? Like if you use UPS or FedEx? I don't do enough of that to even know.
Well, they're not allowed to do first-class letter delivery.
No, but if you send something, like I'm in Texas, if I send something to Oklahoma, does that cost less than if I send it to Pennsylvania?
As many things as I've shipped UPS and FedEx, you think I would know whether it's based on distance?
I'm pretty sure the distance is built into that rate, if I remember correctly. Costs more to ship something a longer distance.
The business that I'm in doesn't require those kind of official channels. I generally just kind of leave the bag underneath a public park bench, and then somebody gets it, and I don't even have to know who they are, and it gets there. Okay, so these are the topics, against our better judgment, not that we had any of that we're going to discuss on this week's episodes of Right Angle, and we are grateful for the opportunity to do so. We're going to cut this show short. Last week, it ran an extra 15 minutes from this point. And there are still some survivors that you can speak to about the experience. They're going to be documented. There's in the National Museum of News where people
the adjectives cruel and unusual were used repeatedly.
It's like the Greatest Generation. Their numbers are shrinking every day. So talk to them while you can.
Yes, get your cassette recorder and interview them. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for supporting this enterprise. Thank you for your continued blog posts and the ways that you enliven BillWhittle.com with your presence. We are really grateful for that. And we will see you on this week's episodes of Right Angle. For Bill and Steve, I'm Scott. Thank you.